Hello everyone, welcome back. You guys are not rid of me yet. Not rid of me yet. We have two more runs to go. So now we're gonna go into arguably hot take, ready for it, my favorite Sonic game of all time, Sonic 3D Blast. For some reason, this game holds a good place of nostalgia in my heart. This was my first ever speed game, and this is the only Sonic game, one of two Sonic games that I have the world record in. So this was a long grind for this game, a lot of optimizations. So we're gonna jump right into it, and then we'll explain how the run goes as well. All right, so again, we'll get going in 3, 2, 1, go. So first thing I want to preface by saying, if the game randomly pauses, that is not me. For some reason, my controller today, when I've been pressing the jump button, so we are on our OG Genesis. Technically, we're actually on a Model 3 right now, so I wouldn't necessarily call it OG. But for some reason, I'm going a different route there too. I was pressing jump today on my controller, and it was pausing the game randomly. So that might happen a couple times. So bear with me as we do that. So there is no tricks. There are no pause buffering tricks in this game. I'll tell you that much. But this is 3D Blast. So the goal of the game is to get 5 flickies from each area into the goal ring, or into like the ring at the end of each little section. And then you kind of rinse and repeat. Some sections have 2 areas, some have 3. We grab the gold shield here, which allows you to use a homing attack. And what we did there was we actually, quote unquote, manipulated the flicky. We got a flicky, we did not collect them, because that blue flickies always follow Sonic. And we know that flicky, if we move fast enough, will go to that section there. So we don't have to wait for the flicky to come down, he'll be in our path anyways. That is one of the only times that we actually do that though. The flickies otherwise don't, the stages don't kind of work out that way into that. So that was Green Grove 1. So now we're going into Green Grove 2. So the first thing you might notice too about this game is that it's another isometric platformer. So just like Sonic Labyrinth, we play in this game, which is an isometric game. There's actually something that we've created in the community called the Sonic ISO Trilogy. It includes 3 games that you run back to back to back. It is Sonic Labyrinth, it is Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, which we're going to be playing next, and Sonic 3D Blast. And we go in order by they were released. So we're doing that there. So this perspective is like the 2.5D. Gives a lot of people fits when you play this game. I love watching people play this game for the first time, or playing it for like the first time in a long time, because their movement is so rough, because it's so hard to kind of gather where Sonic is. And the biggest thing about this game is Sonic feels like he's on ice the entire time you're playing it. It's super slippery controls, super hard to be precise, but we have a lot of time in this game. Again, like I said, this is one of the first ever, well, this was the first ever speed run that I did, that I learned, then I submitted to some boards. So this takes me all the way back to about 2014, 2015 here. So that is Green Grove 2. And now after every 2 stages, you have a boss fight. Now the boss fights in this game are actually somewhat challenging. They're a little more different than the typical Sonic boss fights that we've been accustomed to up to this point. All right, small chance that we take a death here. I'm just gonna play this terrible. I'm supposed to get two hits in each cycle there, and we're gonna get none. All right, some good showcase of this game. All right, here we go. Let's do this. We're supposed to. There's 1, there's 2. So we're supposed to do that each time. I was too close the second time there because of the way the ball was positioned. So you're supposed to go 2, 2, 1. That's going to get you a 25 each time. We got a 32, so not awful, but whew, that is terrible. But now we're going into the best soundtrack of the game, in my opinion, is Rusty Ruin. So Rusty Ruin has the best music for the Genesis, I would say. It also is the first time and only time we're going to see those little spin platforms. We're going to use those spin platforms to break those pillars. That's the only way to get through those pillars. Like right there we see tails. We'd have to be able to take that spin all the way down to the bottom, break it out, and that's how you get tails. So the special stages in this game, which we are not doing, we're doing just beat the game, we're not doing best ending. You have to take 50 rings like other Sonic games, and we got to find Tails or Knuckles. The Genesis, the cool thing about the Genesis version is you can actually get 2 emeralds per stage. You get 1 for Tails and 1 for Knuckles. But if you play on the Saturn version or the PC version, the Windows 98 version, you can only do it once. So the routing is actually a little different in those games versus the Genesis version. There's a couple stages that we get, or there's only 1 in Diamond Dust. We get 2 of them on the Genesis, and we have to get another one somewhere else in the Saturn and the Windows version. The big difference about all the games, because there are 3 different versions, the Windows version and the Saturn version look the same. They play just about the same, but all 3 special stages are completely different. So the special stages in this game, if you have never seen them or have never played them, they can make you really nauseous. The background, you're like above basically lava if you're on a knuckle stage, or you're in the sky on a tail stage, and it goes really, really fast, and you're just basically jumping over spike balls while you got to collect a set amount of rings each time. The Saturn version special stages essentially are like the vintage Sonic 2 kind of half pipe. They're a lot more fun to play as well. Then these stages get the special stages in this one get very boring. And the Windows 98 version, if you've never seen them, go on YouTube and look them up. They are terrible. And what I mean by that, they're a half pipe stage, but they require you to get like 500 rings, 600 rings, 700 rings. It's a ridiculous amount. Oh, we made the jump. And there's spike balls everywhere. It's honestly just kind of, you're just damage boosting the entire time. That's kind of how it plays. It's not incredibly difficult. It's very, very lenient, but you're getting hit every 5 seconds. It's kind of nuts. So if you've never seen those before, go take a look at them. They're crazy. I do run all 3. That is terrible. I do run all 3 versions of the game. The Genesis version is essentially the version that's ported over everywhere. So if you've played 3D Blast before, you have probably played the Genesis version. I don't think Saturn or Windows 98 has been ported anywhere else outside of their releases. The graphics look different on those versions, so you'd be able to tell if they're different from this. But like the Steam release, any kind of Mega Collection release, stuff like that is all Genesis ports there. But we're done with Rusty Room 2, and we're going on to the first kind of quick kill on a boss. So some bosses have abilities to get a quick kill on them. What we're going to do on this boss here is we're going to damage boost off the boss itself onto its hand, and we're going to get all 5 hits before the boss even moves. The last 2 hits, 3 hits, 2 hits, last 2 hits we can just run off. And there we go, we got an 11-second run. You can get 10-second IGT, but it's like frame perfect or something, or you have like 3 frames to deal with. So that doesn't really play for these. This game is done RTA. It is RTA, it's an RTA timed run, but we do have IGTs as well. However, I think my world record RTA is slower IGT. So the record I have is by 1 second over TGH, but I think his IGT is 3 seconds faster. There's no load time differences, nothing like that, because when you play on the Genesis, it's all the same. But basically, I was fractions of a second faster in some stages, and fractions of a second just missing that extra second there. 10th of a second on stage would take me from a 11 to a 12, whatever it would be. So now we are in Spring Stadium, which as a lot of us in the community call the McDonald's play place. That's what it looks like. This level's color palette is terrible. However, I like it because we get the homing shield in both stages, so it makes it relatively trivial, if you ask me. The homing shield, as long as you don't lose it, you just basically press jump, and when you press it again, it lets Sonic attack the enemy, and it lets you get right next to the flicky, so it's really nice. And we get that in both stages. It's one of the few levels, I think, that we actually get the homing shield in both, so I cannot complain. But that's Spring 1, so a lot of these stages are very quick. They're all anywhere from like a minute to a minute and a half normally for each of these stages here. So now let's talk more about the game too. So each level has different color flickies if you haven't noticed. So there's blue flickies, which as we mentioned before, and purple flickies. They basically behave the same way. They're programmed to find Sonic. So if they're out there and you lose them, whatever, if you were to stop moving, they would come to you or do everything in their ability to come to you. Then we have these green flickies. Green flickies is what everybody hates in 3D Blast. It's because they are RNG. It's well, let me rephrase this. It's the closest thing we have to RNG in 3D Blast. They're not actually RNG. They're programmed to move based off of like basically the inputs that you put into the stage. So if I was able to do the stage the same every single time, get hit and lose a flicky, the green flicky would move the exact same way. However, we don't know what buttons that we press every single time throughout the stage. You're not going to be able to do that. So therefore it is RNG in a way for us to know what the green flicking is going to do. Other than that, there's no instances of RNG in the game. And again, that's a loose kind of explanation of how that works. And then we have red flickies. The red flickies jump back and forth place to place. All right, so they can be annoying, but they essentially stay in the same spot, but they just jump really, really high. So in theory, we're hoping we don't lose any flickies. I don't think we've lost any so far. And that basically means if we take damage, we're going to lose the flickies. And so far, this has been really good. So this homing shield is really important for that crab enemy right there. As you can see, there was a giant, there's like 50 holes in the ground. They call spears that come out. So if you stand over it, it shoots out in the air. Well, with the gold shield, we're able to do a high jump over the spears where they come out, hit the crab right in the middle, get it and go on. And if we were to take damage, we'd be able to get a pretty easy hit there. But now we go into the biggest reset of the run is Spring Stadium 3. This boss can be done in 18 seconds. Let's see if I can do it. It's all the... I'm too close to the edge. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Oh, I think I could have got it, actually. I bailed out. I bailed out when I think I could have got to 18. However, we got a 20, which is fantastic. Really, really nicely done. I got a 19. Let's go. So you can get a 17. It's really, really precise. You can get an 18 by getting all of the hits on that square. I got scared on my positioning because I felt like I was in the wrong spot. That's a terrible jump. I felt like I was in the wrong spot, so I was going to get hit. So I decided to bail out instead and kind of recover, which it ended up working because the 19 is still really, really, really good time there. So now we're in Diamond Dust. So what I said before is this game has ice physics, essentially, right? Well, this game is now ice on this game. There's ice, and you now have ice on top of your ice. So not super fun to control. Again, it just takes a little bit getting used to. There's not a ton of really important spots that you're on ice, except for that first snowman enemy right there. And we can kind of handle them pretty easily with one well-timed jump there. Now, the biggest part about this level is the snowman, as I said before. So the snowman enemies can have what we have considered a crush death. Now, it's not actually a crush death. It's not programmed. When people that are way smarter than me have went into the game's code and figured out how to figure everything out, it's not technically a crush death, but it looks like a crush death. So if I were to roll through a snowman enemy, there is a potential that I could actually get crushed by it or will die from it. So how it essentially works is snowman shoots a snowball from its face, top of its head. So as we're gonna see right here. However, that is the one enemy that you can always roll through. There's certain ones that you can never roll through and you're gonna die, and there's certain ones that you can always, like this one here, I can roll through. The reason we can roll through that is because what happens is that sometimes the enemy, if you roll, you'll get hit, and it shoots a snowball, but it doesn't actually shoot the snowball, and therefore you get hit twice, which causes you to die, which then looks like a crush death, but again, it's not a crush death. So we're now in Diamond 2. Here's the only part that's really ice heavy is right here, but we make a couple of jumps against the walls and use these slopes, and we can kind of maneuver pretty easily here. We also roll this guy here, but we use the camera to push it all the way to the back so the snowmen won't shoot. So the snowmen in this game, like a lot of enemies, are camera based. So they're already in the map, but they don't start moving until the camera gets to them. This snowman right here, we do not roll. If we roll him, we will die every single time, without a doubt. So I just work on jumping. We got the back up, that's good. We just work on jumping around them and until we can get hit here. And then we get the homing shield, so we don't need to worry about rolling that snowman there. So that snowman that we had at the beginning of this section is pretty much the one that I always talk about. If you roll him, you will die. If you're on the right spot every single time. So now we're rolling through here, little auto place right there. And we're into area 3. But again, with the homing shield, it's relatively trivial here, because we're just going to jump around, homing attack, kill that snowman, slam. So as we jump over the little ice spots, we're going to do our homing attack because it stomps on the ground. So it's faster to stomp on the ground than let Sonic naturally come to it. And that's it. So Diamond Dust 2 is done. So we're moving on pretty quickly here. Not a bad run so far. Minus essentially the bad boss fight in Green Grove 3. It's not been terrible. We haven't had too many mishaps here. So now we're Diamond Dust 3. Now Diamond Dust 3, I just do, and it's essentially the casual strat. It's just you let for Eggman come down, and then he comes up, drops the snowman, I run around, rinse and repeat, you do it 8 times, right? There is a strat that we thought was task only, but there's a few people that actually do that, that do this strat, is you can actually go jump off the snowman and get height. I'll try it on this next one. Let's just try it. I don't ever do it. So what you do is you jump off the snowman. I really mess it up. You jump off the snowman. I was just gonna get the height from it. As Eggman's coming down, so you can hit Eggman a fraction of a second earlier, and you can beat the boss fight in 47 seconds IGT, versus traditionally you can do it in about 49 to 50. So doing task snowman jumps can save you about 2 seconds there. I took some damage and was kind of, you know, we're messing around. We got a 54, but traditionally I want about a 50. That's what I'm looking for in runs there. But now we're into the second best soundtrack in the game, in my opinion, Volcano Valley. Also, one of my favorite stages, because if you do these 2 stages well, it feels really, really good. So we don't grab that blue flicky because he's going to fly back. So kind of similar to Green Grove 1, but this time we're just doing it just for a half a second. So we roll and we get the invincibility. So then we can kind of just go through all that fire. It's not super hard to dodge all the fire outside of that, but there's a lot of hazards there. And this makes it a lot easier just to have the invincibility through it. And it's literally given to us right there. So, you know, we're going to take it. So the big part about this run, the only really trick that you have in these stages here is that there's these elevator jumps you're going to do. So we're going to be on the elevator. You got to spin dash to get up. But what you can do is you can jump before you get to the top, as right here. Jump up the wall. I went a little late, and you can kind of get up just a little too early. Just a little earlier than intended. So again, this game has come down to really, really micro optimizations. All the ILs are done really, really well. We've gotten to the point where we think we've almost optimized without having some like crazy game-breaking glitches. We've optimized the ILs within the next 1, maybe 2 seconds of what they're going to be, if not even more. There has been a practice hack that was come up by the Cresm, and they created the hack, like basically has a frame counter in level, and it allows you to instantly reset the levels. It's really, really nice. So therefore you can kind of see how close you are to the next second barrier. We can kind of calculate how many seconds we're off, how many frames we're off. So our ILs, we don't count ILs on leaderboards by frames, but we have essentially a spreadsheet in the community, kind of like what our ILs are by the frames, and it counts the best frames in each section. So every time you grab a gold ring, like right here, it would show us how many frames we got to that gold ring. So we've all compared in the community, going from basically ring to ring, to be like, well, my ring 1 is better than so-and-so's ring 1, but their ring 2 is better. If we were able to get the best there, what would our IL be? That kind of stuff. So that's happened within the last year to year and a half. So we've been able to push this game down even farther than we've had before. The world record is now a low 25. I want to say just a handful of years ago it was up in the 26s, which again, there's no tricks. There's no like glitches, stuff like that. This is just pure movement, pure precision platforming essentially, and it's been nice to really get these optimizations, using tiny slopes for speed, all that kind of stuff, reaching speed cap, all that good stuff there. So we screwed up the quick kill. So this boss fight is essentially just a casual fight. You just stand on this platform, I hold down right and go. If you do that, you're gonna get 20 seconds every single time. You just do that timer jump 20 every single time. However, if you stand super close, like really, really close, and that's because I took damage, if you stand really close, you can actually get an 18 because you can trigger the last hits that much faster. So now we're going to Giga. So Giga is probably the worst set of stages, the hardest stages there are. Again, like a lot of games that I like playing, if you do these stages really, really well, it just feels so good. But coming late to a run when you're on PB pace, getting close, and then you have these stages back to back, you can lose a lot of time with just taking one hit or something like that there, and missing a cycle here. So we have this, we're gonna try to get him early. We got him. So that blowfish is again camera based. It blows up right when it shows on screen. So sometimes I get hit by him, sometimes I don't. So that was a very, very quick kill there. And we're gonna jump and we're gonna roll this octopus and then jump into the blowfish. and then bounce off the platform. So that platform, that section, it just feels so good when you do it right. And it's not the hardest movement, but again, if you're just off by a little bit, it can go really, really bad. But we're moving into the last section already of Giga 1. We're gonna get this mouse, and then this nice blowfish. I screened him, but it's fine. He moved in the back, dodged the camera. Get our last lock, the puss buddy, and down here. Now, if you don't have all 5 flickies, Sonic stops in that pipe for like half a second. You can see it goes to the left, and then it goes up. It still goes up. If you don't have all 5 flickies, you'll go to the left. So it'll shoot you back out, because once you get to that area there at the end of the stage, you can't go back anywhere else. So that's like the fail safe for that. So now we're in the infamous Giga 2. Giga 2 has what everyone calls the slope of rage. So unfortunately, the slope of rage, we're at the bottom right here. So we actually went to the bottom first, because my goal is to not take the slope of rage at all. So once we go to the bottom, we're gonna work our way up, get the second flicky, we're gonna roll the top. I'm gonna take this a little slow. I'm just gonna go down just a tiny bit. So I'm gonna go down these like little stairs here, right? I'm gonna line myself up, and then we're just gonna run to the right. We're good. We're gonna go here, we're gonna run all the way to the left. Dodge the cannon, very nice. And we're gonna go all the way back to the right again, and dodge the slope of rage, let's go. So there's a faster strat. There's 2 faster strats actually. The first one is to jump off the top platform. Instead of walking down like I did, you can just jump off top of there. It's not the hardest thing to do. Saves like a second, which I use in runs normally, but you can get a really bad angle. That's unfortunate. We got the collection, very good. You can get a bad angle when you get caught like on an invisible wall, and then you just get taken down the slope of rage. Also, what has been proven to be faster and much more difficult is you get the flicky on the left first, and then you run back up the slope of rage, and you go to the right and then down right again. So you can actually do it 2 different ways. I think Amy's the only one that does it the second way, and I'm not sure if she does it in runs or not. I know Rael has, I believe, going like backwards, which is nutty. I've tried it and gotten it a few times, but it's a lot more harder to do. But now after the first, like the 2 hardest stages in the game, you have what would be the easiest boss fight in the game, in my opinion. So Eggman just floats back and forth, the same pattern every single time. He comes down, you hit him, you kind of rinse and repeat. It's just lasts like a minute 15, a minute 16. You can optimize it by hitting him just a little bit sooner to send him up, but he'll fall basically on the same side each time. What I try to do is I run underneath him, and I try to get my momentum on whatever side he's not coming down, so I can jump a little bit higher. These little spike platform boxes thingies are always in the same spot as well. My goal is to not let him shoot any missiles, and that's kind of this boss fight. So this boss fight is the easiest, I would say, of all the boss fights. Maybe Volcano Valley. I say that. Is this game gonna kill me again? Is Marathon 2 times in a row gonna punish me for trash talking the game? So I didn't lose any time because of that there. So we're good now. Jeez, I just want to jinx myself so much. I just love doing it. Now, in my streams, I do that all the time. Runs, jinx myself. I'll be like, I've killed this stage 5 times in a row today. Soon as I say that, instant karma. So that happens a ton. So I'm used to it. Still got a 15. So now we're in a Pack Puppet. We're in the last 3 stages of the game. So the lore of this stage is, please don't get hit. Eggman did not have enough time to put the flickies into Badniks. So instead, he put them in these containers. So our goal is to break them out of these containers. I'll make it up there. And get to the end of the stage. There's only 5 of them in this stage. And these are the last time we're going to see our little flicky friends for the rest of the game here. Everyone says, and including me, if someone made a mod of this game and just made canisters in the spots of every other flicky, it'd be almost unplayable. It would be so much harder trying to hit these canisters because they have such weird hitboxes. Sometimes you can go inside of them. It's just they can be super jank. We're gonna go for a pretty close trick there. We avoid the invincibility. There's 2 cannons up the top, and we gotta hit the lever in the middle. We avoid the invincibility, tight movements. If you get caught on a wall at all, if you like clip a wall, then you're gonna take damage there. Missed it. So there's a jump in this game called the Lexi Jump right there, named after Lexi, the first person to get this. If you jump from that platform, you actually can jump off the switch and jump straight to the ring area instead of you taking the fans up. So not too bad, but now we're moving into Panic 2, which has no flickies. The only stage that has no flickies in it, minus boss stages. So essentially all we're gonna do is we're trying to get to the end of the stage as fast as we can. And hopefully we don't die. I took a death in a practice run, so we're hoping we avoid. I'll get a ring if I need to, in this next spot here. But the vein of everyone's existence here is called a myth, the mandatory isometric platforming. So the only platforming that we have to do is in this one singular spot. Everything else we can skip. Everything else we can go too fast, whatever it is we can skip over. We have to jump on this, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump to this platform here. Perfect. If I were to jump too high, I would slide down and Sonic would actually go through that platform. So it can be very finicky on your jumps. Once we get through here, we're gonna go up Eggman's nose and we're out the stage. And now we are on to the final boss here. And so far it hasn't been a terrible run either. We should be in like the mid-ish 26s, mid-upper 2640-ish, I think. Let's see. So this fight has 3 phases here. The first phase, every fight has 2 hands. Each hand always takes 4 hits. I'm gonna make sure I get my ring here. I sometimes take hit by those balls that get shot out of the arm up there. So essentially, as you can see, I'm just waiting under the shadow. It makes a noise, ready to get hit, attacks you, you dodge it, hit the arm, rinse and repeat 8 times. This one, he shoots fire. But now we're gonna play pool, or as Argy got done playing, Sonic Spinball. We're gonna bounce off all these walls. Maybe Sonic Labyrinth, maybe, right? We're just bouncing, spin dashing. So we're just gonna hold spin dash. I'm not even gonna use my left hand, right? We're just gonna hold this. Hopefully I don't take last time I did this, I took damage. We're not even using the D-pad. We're just gonna roll and jump. Once we're in the spot, we can just keep rolling, jump. We just jump. I hope I don't take damage there. That's what happens. If the arm lands in a certain spot, it still has a hitbox, like up there. I can do the same thing for this cycle if I wanted to. However, if I'm not fast enough, it will shoot a blue ball out of its arm, and therefore I can get hit by the blue ball. But so far we're good. So we're gonna see how long we can go one-handed here. One hand, we're still good. We're still good. We got, that's hit number 2, hit 2-4. Number 3. All right. Can we finish at number 3? Are we gonna go? We're gonna go blue ballless here, right? Didn't take damage there, and let's go. The whole final fight, no hand. Time stops when it fades out. It was a high 26. I thought 2640. Fade out, all that stuff there. So a sub 27. I'll take it. That is fantastic. This is the game that I've de-rusted the most because it's the game I have the most confident in because I had the most time into it. But that's 3D Blast. It's one of those games that it's fantastic once you play more and more of it, in my opinion. You have to get used to the controls. But if you've enjoyed this game, enjoyed any kind of commentary or whatever like this for this game, we have our own Discord, our own unique Discord separate from the Sonic Discord. If you go to our speed page, we also have a website. I want to shout out Amy for making the website. She made a greenflicky.com. It should still be up. So it has like strats, pictures, videos. It has a ton of stuff about this game. And a lot of us, I think, are going to start getting back into running this even more. It's died down a little bit over the last few months. All of us have been pretty busy, but summer's coming up, and I think a lot of us are going to kick this game back into high gear. But it's an awesome community, and this was the first speed game I ever did. Welcome into Open Arms, and everyone's fantastic in the community. Amber, TGH, Supersonic runs this game. Argic runs this game. Said Amy, Co-Empathy, Brandino, S2. A lot of fun people that play this. We used to do community nights, get together, talk about the game as well. So if anyone's ever interested in picking this up, just hit me up, hit somebody else up, and we're more than happy to teach you this game. So yeah, that'll do it for 3D Blast. That's game number 3, y'all. But you have to deal with me for another 15 minutes or so because we got one more game coming at you. And again, I didn't think you may have never seen this next game come up as well. So we'll take another couple minutes in between, get this next game set up, and we'll see you in a few.